get back. 10 days, 10 whole days. If you have been here since day one, you would have covered more real ground on AI communication logic, more than people that actually, buy courses online and, they never go through it or they don't finish them. And to me, that means something. But today is not about the celebration. We're not celebrating yet. Today is more like a check. Tomorrow, everything is going to change because tomorrow we're going to leave this old chart and we're going to enter make.com. We're going to start building real automations. We're going to start moving real data, them through and every other thing, even building systems that can run while you sleep as well. But before we get there, if your logic is still, if it's not as refined enough with all the layers, everything we've done all this while, if you can't describe a business problem clearly enough for a machine to even execute it, then I'll be very honest. Automations is not going to save you. Make.com is not going to do anything because AI automation doesn't fix this unclear thinking. It's, in fact, if you start running it, if you start building it, it's just, you start doing this in a way where it's not refined enough and you even scale something that is not built on a good foundation. Today is the final exam for layer 1. I'm going to run you through a quick audit that tells you whether what you have is actually ready for, building the pipes, building automations basically, or whether, there are still gaps that you need to close first. I want to walk you through a couple of things, and I'm also going to share a couple of things on the screen as usual. I do that every time, where I take a real prompt and run it through the tests. I will show you what a production ready prompt looks like, and from there we'll start building. So anyway, if you're new here, I'm Jude. You can call me Nirvana, and for the last 4 years I've been building AI systems for agencies, startups, and I've also influenced their businesses and that of their clients, an AI automation and AI marketing automation specialist. So this is day 10 of the 5 layers of AI series, and I promised you that I was going to take, what we are going to take rather, 60 days. So this is basically going to make it 1/6 of the whole learning of AI generally from layer 1 to layer 5. And I said I was going to take you from foundation level to, even building autonomous systems. So I want us to see it this way first. 10 whole days to build layer 1. We talked about how to talk to the brain. We talked about how to feed it facts, where to point it to, how to make it decide, how to make it write its own instructions as well, and how to make it sound human, how to give it this human voice, how to give it a job as well, and how to build these fences, how to build constraints as well to ensure it goes in line with what we want. So today we are going to check every single thing around the work, everything we have been working on. That's basically what we're going to check. And by the end of this video, you will have a single production ready instruction set. Something I believe you could hand to a stranger or drop it into a machine and have it, execute without a single question back. And this is the standard of what we need to run something as grounded as layer 2. So, well, let's run this thing together. So here's one thing people miss generally. Automation is not intelligence. Automation is speed. AI is different from automation itself. Now, when I want to explain automation, I'll tell you this way. Automation is just a machine that doesn't have intelligence. It doesn't solve your, logic problems. It's more of, it's executed at a faster speed and on a bigger scale as well. So that means when it comes to the thinking, when it comes to the logic itself, you have to outsource that to something else, because that is going to be if you just run automations thinking that it's backed by AI and thinking that is all you need. That was why I had to let us pass through the first layer so we can ensure that whatever instruction we give it, when we start adding AI into automations, is going to give us something you could use to build businesses or help clients automate their operations basically. Now I want to tell you, if you are actually running automations thinking that that's going to replace every single thing that you're working on, I'll tell you it's going to cost more. It's actually more expensive if you don't understand what you are trying to automate. If you cannot describe the fork in the road in plain English, you cannot describe what exactly you are trying to do, which I've already attended to in the previous classes, you'll not be able to set up something as simple as a router in make.com. You're going to know what that is about very soon. If you can't name the exact thing that is going on, like a failure mode, for example, if you don't know which filter to add, if you can't state the action clearly, you will not know which module to drag in. So I want to just make it very plain to you that layer one is not even it's not the easy part. Layer one that we've been going all through to this point has been the real work the whole time. Automations is meant to just be what helps you carry what you know already. Automation is like the pipes that just carry the brain. So we've built layer one, which is the brain. Automation is meant to be the pipe that just carries that brain and makes it give you something you can always predict and always do recurrently without having to use manual input every single time, without having to hire someone to handle these things. Okay, I've seen automation projects fail. I've seen work built by freelancers on Upwork, on other platforms that are not strong. And this is not about the scenario, this is not about the API connection, this is not even about the webhook configuration. But before every builder ever uses a tool for automation, you need to know more about what exactly this automation is going to do, what is backed by it. You need to know about the AI level, which is what we have been working through all this while. Because most of the time, most freelancers, they want to make money. So they just tell the business owner, the client, or the agency they are working for, and they tell them to just give them something, and they will help them build something as simple. And at the end of the day, even the person building it or the client is not able to use it very well. They are trying to build something that you want to automate something to a business for a business that is going to give you a clear result, but you yourself cannot explain the action that goes on and be able to predict every single thing before you automate it. Now, this is what you need to know. The person or the freelancer probably has the idea of how the goal will look like and knows how to bring modules together, but they don't understand more on the instructions. What am I meant to give this? Can we predict it as every point? At the very least, 99% of time, can we get, if anything was to happen, would it even happen in the first place? This is why you could add AI into automation sometimes and feed it in and test it, and you see it has some flaws. And that is because these people don't understand the instructions very well. Now, I've been making examples of businesses I've actually worked with, but I will tell you, for a plain marketing system like the ones I've done for startups in the past, the logic behind it did not start from the scenario. It did not start from that particular automation platform. It started from the documents, me having every single detail together, step by step, action by action, and condition by condition as well. And these documents would be well written enough that I could hand it to who knows nothing about the project, and this person will still be able to follow up with a single question, which is, when am I to start? So basically, you can see that we've handled every single thing, aside from me telling the person, okay, you can start now, or you can start building this thing in the next few hours, or when you have everything together, you start building it. This person has no other question because we've explained every single thing about the project in a document that is well written enough that any human can follow it. So you can imagine that if a human cannot follow the instructions we put into that document, even a machine should not be able to undo it, because a human should be able to get it right. So, and that's the document we're going to build today. For every instruction, there are 3 tests I'm going to give, which every instruction we set must be built to pass these 3 before it goes into automation in the first place. The first test, I can bring this same thing from a previous class that we had, which is the being specific. I've mentioned this thing many times. We have to be specific. We need to know what exactly we are trying to build. We need to know the exact tool we want to make use of. We need to know the exact number. We need to even know something I call the failure mode. That we need to know more than just the concept or direction, we need to know an exact condition. An example I'm going to give you now is, in a case where you build an automation, or let's even scale it as far as an agent, and you say, let's use prompting for example. Since we are still in layer 1, let me say you tell AI, follow up on the leads who are interested. That's interested. Everybody that fills a form is a lead that is interested, right? But remember that would take the time of founder. I made use of example of the founder that is very busy and he has to go on calls every single time, right? Now, for 80% of the calls he goes on, these people are not ready, or they don't have the budget to actually, back what they are trying to do. So we want to ensure that we don't waste his time and we focus on just those people that are interested. We'll rather say, because we've put conditions, say if the leads budgets field in the Google Forms, if we're using Google Forms to get the leads, is under $1,000 or $1,000, send this particular lead the resource list email and stop the sequence completely. Now we're giving the AI an exact field, an action, a threshold, and a stop condition too. If any of these 4 elements that I out are not clear enough, the instruction there is going to fail. So it's going to fail that first test, basically. If the instructions you are giving it are not clear enough, they are not specific, you are not giving a specific number, you're not giving it a specific action to do, that test has basically failed. That's the thing. The second test it has to pass through needs to be the proof test. Now, every claim in your instruction set must have evidence, at least within 2 sentences, so that it will not just make assumptions based on the data it was trained on. We want to make it use evidence. We want to use something that we have done before for our business or for our agency, for example. An example I can give here is me pointing out to a lead and I'm saying this is a high value lead, for example, lead. Rather, what I should have said there should have been, this lead is an high priority, and that is because they mentioned the word urgent in the subject line. So, which is verified by the subject field in the incoming webhook. An example, we are receiving emails from customers, and this customer the word urgent, or probably while filling the form we have a select option which we're asking. Now in this case, when we are getting this, probably through a webhook or anything, when we're getting this, we have seen the word urgent. That means this person knows how serious the problem he has and how he wants to solve it, basically. So we can test, we can use this to know, yes, this is exactly how it is. We are also being specific in this case, and we can trace the claim back to that source. I remember talking a little bit about this in day 2, which is like an operational form to ground the logic. Now the same thing applies when you are trying to ground the prompt as well. If a claim doesn't have a source attached, if it's just trying to guess, where it doesn't have like something like area to give, like a reference it can take from and give you a response similar to it, it's just the AI is going to start making guesses. That's what you need to know. The AI will start making guesses, and if you start automating guesses, for example, you're already breaking down the automation. Like, the automation is not as strong as it's meant to be. While I do this, the best thing is just to show you around it. So now the test 3 is the action title test. Now every step of your process must be described as an action and not just a concept. Concepts are what you think about. Currently I have this idea of what I want to build, right? But actions are what we build in like an automation platform like me.com, for example. Now a concept is me thinking of, I want to automate a particular lead process, or I can call it like each phases, right? So I want to automate a lead management phase, for example. Rather than saying that, that is general. The lead could be coming from anywhere. But rather than saying that, I would say size. I want you to check LinkedIn URL for the company size. Rather than saying distribution, I would say you should send approved drafts to Buffer, is a scheduling software for content on social media. So I can tell it to send approved drafts to buffer via a webhook. If I give a concept like, okay, client onboarding, for example, a lot of people say client onboarding, right? If I give that as an instruction, that is also wrong. Rather than that, I need to be as specific and bring out the titles, an action title, not just a title generally. So rather than saying client onboarding, I should have said something like, rather than onboard these clients, I will give the instruction every time that you should create a folder in Google Drive. You send a welcome email via Gmail or Outlook, and you should add this client into our CRM with a particular tag or status, and we can give it active. This, you can just try to understand that we are being specific enough still to ensure that this AI does something we could predict every single time. We're not letting the AI choose other steps. We're giving it something we know as humans we could do. Something we know all the steps in details as well. When you open the scenario editor tomorrow on make.com, you can see, I am also going to explain this, every module you see is an action. If you cannot name the action, if you don't have a way to name this action, you won't know which module to use once you start building an automation for it. The action title test, basically, what we've been talking about is literally like, it is the skill you need to use to build in make.com. So basically, I've talked about 3 tests now, right? I've talked about the being specific, I'll call it the specificity tests, and the proof tests, and then the action title test. These 3 basically like the filters we're going to use in this audit today. So you know what, let me show you in real time. I'm going to prompt, I think we worked on it in the previous classes, something from a few days in this series. We're going to run it in this test as well. So I'm going to, I think we wrote this between day 1 to day 4, I guess. And yeah, you too. I'm going to give you this. So I will tell it to, you are a sales assistant for my agency. Okay, I'll tell you to help me follow with leads and make sure they qualified before we book a call. All right. Okay, so when you see this, you can see the normal thing an AI would do, where it's going to start asking you a lot of questions. In this case, you can just see that we've made a mistake because it's telling us inbound leads can do this, a good workflow, I can access this, I draft the next message, I suggest this. While this looks detailed, these are the things that tricks people and makes them think that AI is giving them something very nice. And when you think about it, it is not. It is not actually. None of these are like answers. So for people that are prompts like this in the first place, honestly, you are going nowhere. So let me apply the fix on this. The fix. So you get to see how this is going to work when we had these 3 tests as audit to it. So here's what I have. I've done a fix for it, and I said, you are a lead qualifier for a B2B agency that sells AI automation system for solar installers. Your task is to review the incoming lead response to this question. If the amount is below $200, the free resource email and close the conversation. If the amount is $200 and above, send a booking link for a 20-minute call. If the amount is not mentioned, reply with this: could you share your last electricity bill amount? Just a rough figure is fine. Something as simple as that. And I gave it negative constraint again, where I told it, never mention our pricing, never apologize, never use the word leverage, transform, and another thing, keep every reply under 3 sentences. You can see that this passed every single test. 1, we have a specific tool, which is the email response, right? Response, we know what we are going to use, an email response, because we can give an example or a scenario where we are taking leads from Google Forms, for example, or Tally, and the person has filled in the amount. So this person picked a particular select, which is probably 200 is how much they have, and this is the action it's going to give. If the amount is 200 and above, that means this person can be a positive or a prospective client rather. So you can see that basically I gave it a specific a specific number as well, without 200, and a failure mode. That particular amount is missing. So what I did here also, I added the if, then, and the else statements to this. I basically added that here so that every single time, and a negative constraint now, every single time, every claim is traceable, every step is an action, every concept, or we can say we basically have no concept, and we don't have just, we're not giving it the chance to just bring in directions from itself. We're telling it by removing some directions from there. Never mention pricing. You know what we've taught in the previous class, the D9, where we are telling it to never say. We're just giving it almost like an AI agent. All these things, we will need it when we're building AI agents. We're giving it something to follow. Follow this alone. Don't do anything else. So I can consider this a production ready instruction that we can even use to build on make.com. You can add it to the AI layer when we are building. 3 sentences, as simple as that. So based on what you saw just now, let me give you a full checklist for what I call a production ready instruction set. And this should have 5 components. So this is a production ready checklist. And all these 5 must be present every single time. The first one is the goal. That's a clear sentence on what the system should achieve, not just a mission statement. We're not trying to just explain our mission or our vision here. We want a result. This is what you must achieve. This is the path you need to go. The next one is the input. Which data is coming in? Is it from Google Forms or from Tally? Is it from is it an email subject line? Is it from webhooks too? Is it just, we need to ensure we have the source. We need to be clear on where we are getting these details from, this data from. The third one is the logic gates. I told you about the if, then, and else rule from day 4. That was day 4, where every fork in the road is mapped and every branch is basically accounted for. We're not just, we're not directing it, or we're not making it pick a direction by itself. We're being specific. The fourth one now is the negative constraint. Even in day 9, and we had a lot of bands, like the vocabulary bands, the behavioral bands, the logic bands as well. So all these 3 layers, we had them when it comes to the constraints. And the last thing is the tone, the voice that we talked about in day 7. How do we want it to sound like? Where I mentioned about short sentences, using plain words, and the band list as well. We need to apply all this as well. The inputs, the logic gates, the constraints, and the tone. And if your instruction set has 5 of these, I can say you are basically ready to start building automations on make.com. If any of this is missing at any point, honestly, you need to go back. You need to understand this very well. Yes, So to prepare for what's coming, I want you to take a couple of things seriously. And this is going to be very crucial for the automations we are going to be building very soon. You can get familiar with this. The main thing is, I want to talk about every single thing I've been doing all this while, starting from the resources, right? So, and I've been explaining the layers, basically on layer 1 every single day on all these resources. But I will tell you, I'm going to be explaining the other layers using this. I'm going to be sharing this on screen. So why I will do this is so we can follow in the directions, and I believe this will aid practice, as I've actually seen it work many times with people I've taught automations in the past, from the boot camps, even the private automation group I am on, agencies as well, agency contracts for their clients and the rest. I also make use of this so they could understand very well, because I also record SOPs for sales teams, and I had this same thing each time. I use a resource guide to make sure that they understand it easier, because so I'm not just doing this, but I'm ensuring I do this so anyone watching this video could also read through and understand very well. Don't miss out on using this resource guide to build your skills from the layer 2 we're going to be working on to even layer 5 moving forward. So before we jump into make.com, I want to ensure you know all this, and we're going to be familiar with make.com very soon. Basically, I want you to get familiar with what we're working on And that is basically to help you, because you can just basically check. Obviously, I'm going to leave it here. That's you can go to the official YouTube channel for make.com, and you watch the getting started overview. So you don't have to try to build anything yet. Just watch the scenario editor as it's being laid out, the modules, the connectors, the flow, every single thing explained there. Just watch it. When I first opened make.com, I remember I had to spend minutes actually looking at every single thing, trying to figure out what to do. I saw recommendations actually on people that have also built using make.com back then. And with that, I was able to build my first scenario within 1 hour, actually under 1 hour. And yeah, it's the same tool, the same logic, the videos I've been making all this while. This time around, we're going into practical sessions. We have to go into something that you will find a bit foreign to you. So that's the 7 minutes I want you to spend tonight. And you can find it in link in description, and you can also find it here as usual. So yeah, we should be working on this. See you on day 11.